most successful companies you've never heard of are doing better than the unicorns everyone's talking about. They have no office, no marketing budget, no brand recognition. Yet they're generating millions in profit with fewer than 5 people.
We've built a mythology around visible companies. Companies you see, companies that raise money and have billboards and ads. But the future is about companies that don't need to be seen to be valuable.
Isabella, welcome to Scale Up Stories. What does it actually mean to be an invisible company?
An invisible company is one that has minimal public presence, minimal marketing, often a minimal team, yet generates significant revenue and profitability. Customers know about it through word of mouth or organic discovery. The market doesn't.
So it's not actually invisible to customers?
No, to customers it's perfectly visible. They find you, use you, and love you. But to the media, investors, and competitors, you're invisible. Nobody's talking about you.
Why would being invisible be desirable?
Visibility is expensive and inefficient. When you're invisible, you aren't spending money on marketing or the overhead of brand management. The companies that are visible have to maintain that visibility, but an invisible company just works.
But doesn't visibility create demand?
Visibility creates awareness, but that's not the same as demand. Demand comes from solving a real problem. If you solve a real problem, you get word of mouth, referrals, and organic discovery. The best companies don't need to convince anyone they just work.
Let's talk about the financials. How does the economics of an invisible company differ?
It's dramatically different. A typical SaaS company spends 50% of revenue on customer acquisition. Product companies spend 30% on marketing. An invisible company, 0 to 5%. That's often the difference between profitability and dependence on external capital.
How do invisible companies grow if they don't spend on acquisition?
Organically, through word of mouth, referrals, partnerships, and search discovery. Growth is slower but sustainable, and every customer is profitable. Visible companies often chase growth at all costs, burning money just to scale quickly.
What's the trade-off? What do you give up by being invisible?
You give up fast scaling, venture capital, and the potential for a $10B valuation in 5 years. If you want a sustainable, profitable business, invisibility is the way. But if you want to rapidly scale to $1 billion in revenue, visibility is necessary.
Most founders seem to want the billion-dollar outcome, though.
Most say they do, but I believe most would prefer a profitable business they own and control over a venture-backed business they don't. The venture path is seductive because it's visible, but the outcomes are often better for founders who choose invisibility.
Walk us through how an invisible company actually operates.
They focus on a narrow niche, solving a specific problem deeply. Teams are small and remote, overhead is low. Customers come through organic discovery search, word of mouth, referrals. They iterate based on customer feedback, prioritize sustainability, and move deliberately.
Can you give me a concrete example?
There's a company that provides background checks for small businesses. No marketing, no sales team, just a great product. Businesses find them through Google, use the service, refer others, and they've quietly grown for 15 years, doing hundreds of millions in revenue.
That sounds almost too good to be true. What's the founder experience like?
It's peaceful. You build and optimize, listen to your customers, collect revenue, pay yourself, and live your life. Compare that to visible founders who are constantly fundraising and managing investor expectations.
Is there such a thing as too much visibility?
Absolutely. Visibility creates obligations. You need to keep up appearances and manage the narrative. Many visible founders burn out because they're managing the story, not the business.
How does that happen in practice?
Press coverage creates expectations, which means you have to keep raising money, growing, and innovating, even if the business is already sustainable. The pressure from visibility can destroy a good company.
So in most cases, visibility is a liability?
For most businesses, yes. Unless you're building something that needs network effects like Facebook or Twitter, visibility is a liability. For the majority who are just solving a problem, it adds unnecessary pressure.
If invisible companies don't market, how do they get discovered?
Word of mouth is the biggest driver. If your product genuinely solves a problem, people talk. Then there's search. People find you because you show up when they look for solutions. Educational content and partnerships also help.
Does any of this require traditional marketing skills?
It takes user empathy, understanding what people need, and providing content that answers their questions. It's not marketing in the traditional sense, it's just being genuinely helpful.
Is there a point where invisibility becomes a liability?
If your product is complex and needs lots of education, invisibility is harder. You need some visibility to explain value. For simpler products, invisibility works great. And with competition, invisible companies compete on quality and efficiency.
Is this a personality thing? Are some founders just more comfortable being invisible?
Partly, but mostly it's about values. Some founders want to win the game of visibility, be known, get accolades, be in the media. Others want to win at business, be profitable, and live well. They're just different games.
But don't you need visibility to attract talent?
Not for invisible companies. They attract people who care about solving the problem, not about fame. Those people make better employees, they're more committed and product-focused.
Tell us about your own companies. How did you become an advocate for invisibility?
My first company was visible. We raised money, did PR, tried to be a startup, and it was exhausting. My second company, I did the opposite, no VC, no PR, just focused on customers. It was far more successful.
What changed between the first and second companies?
I got tired of performing. I saw that visibility was creating pressure, not results. Once I stopped chasing it, the business improved. I don't regret the first company. It taught me what not to do.
What advice do you give founders now?
Start invisible, build your product, get customers, and see if people actually want it. Only add visibility once you know it's needed. If you start visible, you're committed to that path and it's hard to go back.
Do you think invisibility is the future?
It's the present. Most successful companies are already invisible, they're just not seeking attention. If you look at profitable, sustainable, founder-happy businesses, they're mostly invisible.
Why aren't we paying attention to these companies?
Because they're not trying to get attention, they're just doing the work. There's no backlash, just a realization among founders that visibility is expensive and doesn't directly create value.
Rapid fire. What's the best type of problem to solve invisibly?
Specific painful problems that people are actively searching for and willing to pay for immediately.
Worst tip?
Vague, nice-to-have problems that require education to make people want them.
Can a visible company become invisible?
It's very hard. Visibility creates expectations and obligations. Once you're visible, you're committed.
How do invisible companies fundraise?
They don't. They're typically bootstrapped or self-funded, which is part of what keeps them invisible.
Best distribution channel for invisible companies?
Search and word of mouth. Everything else is a distant second.
Most surprising thing about invisible companies?
How profitable they are. People assume you need scale and visibility to make money, but you actually just need efficiency and product market fit.
Isabella, close us out. What should every founder understand about invisibility?
Invisibility isn't a weakness, it's a strength. If you can build a profitable, growing business without visibility, that's actually the best outcome. Visible companies are visible because they need to be.
How do you know if invisibility is right for you?
Ask yourself if you're building to scale to $1 billion or to be profitable and sustainable. If it's the second, invisibility is your path. Most founders should choose that the outcomes are better.
And if you start visible?
Then commit to it, because you're playing that game now. But most founders would be better off starting invisible, building the business first, and only adding visibility if needed.
Thank you for showing us the invisible economy, Isabella.
Thank you for asking about it. We need to celebrate invisible companies more. They're the backbone of the economy, but nobody talks about them.
Everyone listening, the most successful business might be the one you've never heard of. If you're building, consider starting invisible. Build the business first. Add visibility later, if you need it.
Scale Up Stories is independent. No sponsors, no gatekeeping. Just founders talking about what works. If this episode changed your perspective, share it with someone chasing visibility. Until next time, be invisible, build something real.